Hello friends, welcome to Simply Chemistry. In this video, we are going to see the basics of the nuclear magnetic resonance, that is NMR, and its application to simple organic molecules. NMR is a beautiful gift from spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is a branch of science deals with the interaction between EMR, that is electromagnetic radiation, with matter. With the help of NMR, one can easily find out the structure of a given molecule. Initially, NMR was used to find out or measure the gyromagnetic ratio of a nuclei. Gyromagnetic ratio of a nuclei. This is actually a unique ratio for a given nucleus of an atom. What happened is that they observed deviation while measuring the gyromagnetic ratio for elements with more electrons or electrons. The reason why is we know that electron is a charged species. While it revolves, it produces its own magnetic field. So because of this magnetic field produced by the electron movement, the deviation was observed while measuring the gyromagnetic ratio. Hence, they thought, why don't we apply this electron movement or electron density to chemistry or molecules? We know that chemistry mostly deals with the electron density or movement of electron from one place to another, and so and so. So they thought this relationship, that the deviation occurs while measuring the gyromagnetic ratio, can be applied to the chemical compounds. That is how the NMR came into the branch of chemistry. So what is this NMR, or the nuclear magnetic resonance? What exactly they do is, they take an element and they place it in a magnetic field. In other words, I can say like magnetic field. What happens is that this application of the magnetic field makes the nuclear spin states to undergo separation. So for example, if it's half spin, the nuclei is going to be minus half and plus half. So this splitting is only possible when the nucleus what we have taken has I not equal to 0. I is nothing but the nuclear spin. Once after applying the magnetic field, we subject our radio waves so it's in the form of energy, makes the excitation of nuclei from here to here to the excited energy level and come back, and we measure the NMR spectrum. Not all the frequencies can make this excitation happen, Only when the frequency is matching with the precision frequency, that is the Lamer frequency, the excitation will happen. If not, the excitation will not happen. The signals obtained from NMR, the NMR signals are represented by means of chemical shift represented by the del value. So del value refers to the chemical shift and we for a NMR signal. The chemical shift values are in comparison with the reference. So general reference what we use is TMS. It's a tetramethylsilane. It's the general reference we use in case of TNF. So let's see about the proton NMR, generally represented as H1 NMR. I, or the nuclear spin of hydrogen, is half. As I said earlier, only species with nuclear spin can give rise to NMR signals or NMR spectral values. And I already said that the NMR signals depends upon the electron density, which we can relate it to the chemical environment. So based on the chemical environment, we get the number of signals. So I repeat once again, we know that already that your NMR is based upon the electron density, and the electron density what we refer in chemistry is the chemical environment. So based upon the different types of chemical environment in a molecule, we get the different number of NMR signals. So let us start with a simple example, methane, CH4. So you know the structure of methane. Here what I am trying to do is I am trying to combine the organic knowledge what you know and how to get the number of signals from the given molecule. So I am assuming this to be HA, B, C and D just for marking sake. So what I am doing is I am just removing one of the hydrogen, that is HA, from this one. So it gives me a methyl cation. Even if I remove HB, it gives the same methyl cation. Even if I remove HC or HD, the final species what I am going to get is a methyl cation. So in other words, I can say all the 4 hydrogens present in methane are having the same chemical environment. They have the same chemical environment. Hence, we will get only one proton NMR signal. So I am trying to explain one more time. No matter what is the hydrogen I have removed, the final product what I get is only a methyl cation. So in other words, I can say all these 4 hydrogens are in the same chemical environment. Hence, I will get only one proton NMR signal. So let us try to extend it to a bigger molecule, that is ethane, CH3 CH3. So I'm trying to apply the same principle here. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove one proton from this carbon. So I'm just assuming this to be A carbon and this is B carbon. So whatever matter, either I remove hydrogen from the A carbon atom or the B carbon atom, I'm going to land up in a primary carbocation. No matter which hydrogen I remove from which carbon atom, ultimately I am going to land up in a primary carbocation. In other words, I can say that all of the 6 hydrogens are in the same chemical environment. So I am going to get only one proton NMR signal. So let us extend to a bigger molecule, propane. Let's see, H3, CH2, CH. So now I'm labeling A, B and C carbons for labeling sake. Okay, now I'm trying to remove a hydrogen from A carbon atom. So I'm going to get a carbocation like this. It's again primary in nature. Even the same I will get if I remove from C. I'm going to get a primary carbocation. That means this 3 hydrogens and these 3 hydrogens are in the same chemical environment. So they will give one signal. If I remove a proton from B, it will give you CH3, CH, CH3. The previous one is primary carbocation, whereas in the second case we get a secondary carbocation. What we try to understand from here is that the chemical environment of these protons are different from these 2 protons. So hence this B carbon or the protons attached to the B carbon will give another signal. So totally we'll get 2 signals for propane. We'll get 2 proton NMR signals for. So let's see one more example, like CH3, CH, CH3, CH3. So this should be A carbon atom, B carbon atom, C and G. So when I try to remove again a proton from A carbon atom, I am going to get CH2 plus CH, CH3, CH3. This is going to be primary. The same I'll get in case of C and G. Whereas if I try to remove it from B, it's going to be CH3 twice C plus. That is a tertiary carbocation. Can you find out the number of signals? So the hydrogen attached on carbon A, C and D will give one signal. Likewise, the hydrogen attached to carbon B will give you one signal. So totally we'll get 2 signals. I'll give you a simple workout. Just take a little time. I want you to find out the number of signals in case of N-butane. Use your method. pause the video, do workout and continue to know the answer. The right answer is, we'll get 2 signals as A, B, C and D. So A and D hydrogens will give 1 signal, B and C give another signal. So total accounts to 2 signals. So now I understand that you can easily find out the number of signals for a given organic compound. So we'll see one more example. This is a very common molecule, benzene. What I'm trying to say is, like, if you remember the basic organic concepts, you can easily identify the number of signals based on the chemical environment. So if we try to perform electrophilic substitution on the benzene ring, we can easily see that all the 6 hydrogens, all the 6 positions are equivalent. We cannot say that the electrophile only goes here, the attack is only from here or anywhere else. So the number of NMR signals we get in case of benzene is 1. NMR signal will be 1. So even we can extend the same to CH3, CH2, OH. What could be the number of signals in this case? So this carbon atom A is different from this, and this is different from the rest of the hydrogens. So totally we get 3 signals for ethanol. We'll see one more example, the neopentane. I have seen this question in many entrance examinations and the competitive exams. So can you predict the number of signals, proton NMR signals in this case? Yes, you have it right. You'll get only 1 signal because all the hydrogens are of similar nature. I'll give you some problems to work out with solution. As I said earlier, you can see the questions, try answering them, then check with the number of signals. I will provide you the answers too. So first I wanted CH3, CH2, Cl. I want you to work out on all the 3 problems. So in the first case we get 2 signals, the second case we get 1 signal. In the third case I want you to understand, once there is substitution on the benzene ring, now this group going to provide the location for the incoming group. Once there is attachment, we are going to separate them into ortho, meta and para. So the protons in the ortho position going to give 1 signal, and likewise in meta, and likewise in para. So theoretically speaking we will get 3 signals. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you.